Hey everyone, I am back with another animal facts video, and I have one of the coolest little tortoises in the world right here. This is an Indian Star Tortoise. Now, Indian Star Tortoises are found in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and India, and they're known for living in actually like pretty dry climates, usually like scrubland, grassland, or like dry edges of jungle, which seems kind of contradictory, but there are like dry areas going into more jungle areas depending on your elevation. Now, one of the most interesting things people always see about these tortoises are their absolutely amazing shells. Now, the striations on each one of these lumps on them is basically meant to make them blend in with tall grasses. If you're a predator looking for this animal, these striations would actually look like sunlight breaking up in between pieces of grass and like large bladed grass. So these guys are actually very, very good at camouflaging in their natural habitat. In that habitat, they are eating lots of vegetation. Like the majority of tortoises, they're an herbivore. But like many tortoises, and not a lot of people know this, they are a carrion eater. So out in the wild, when they find a carcass, they will eat off that carcass. It's not always recommended that they get that in captivity, because a lot of times in captivity, if we're giving them types of pellets, typically the protein needed is in that. But here at the store, even with our giant red-footed tortoises, usually once a month or every couple months, we will put some rodents in there for them to munch on. We haven't done it with the star tortoise or its counterpart. We kind of leave that up to the customer because we do a pretty good pellet mix and then also fresh veggies 3 days a week. Veggies are typically comprised of collard, mustard, turnip, radish, and dandelion green. Collard green being the best one out of there because it's a 28-to-1 or so calcium to phosphorus ratio, so it's really good for bone growth and shell structure. Then we usually mix like zucchini, summer squash, beet, parsnip, carrot, and sweet potato, like mixed all in that. So we normally do like around like 60% green and like 40% hard veggie. Now, for certain animals, we will put lots of fruit in there, but for an animal that comes from a dry area like this Indian Star Tortoise, we typically don't put a lot of fruit in the diet. The only time I really recommend the fruit in there is if for whatever reason it doesn't seem to be interested in the veggies, I will like squeeze like some grape juice out or blueberry juice over top of the veggies to try to get them like enticed like into it. This is a very small species. Usually at full grown, we're not looking at more than maybe like 7 or 8 inches, sometimes up to 10, but this is about full grown. I mean, about the size of my hand right here. Very, very interesting when you start comparing like shell structure. They're missing a lot of like different types of scutes that we recognize in other tortoises, but we can sex them the same way we would a lot of other tortoises, where males tend to have like kind of a convex kind of like shell, like caved in and a longer tail, whereas females tend to have really short stubby tails and really, really flat plastron. So these definitely a really interesting tortoise. Now they can handle a little bit humidity, and they do like water more than other tortoises in their species, but really too much humidity can lead to a lot of health issues. So it is recommended that you keep them dry. Really what I recommend is having a water dish big enough that they can easily climb into, soak if they want to, and then easily get back out, and then creating lots of hiding spots. If you end up doing a bioactive enclosure for these guys, any type of edible grasses that can grow really tall would make them feel extremely comfortable. And then of course, multiple hiding spots for them to duck into. And then because they are more of an arid species, a little bit higher UVB, like maybe like a 10.0 UVB. A lot of that depends on the height of the tank though. For tortoises, I always recommend buying a squatty tank. Zoo makes this thing called a low boy, which we use for corals here at the store a lot of time, but it's 48 by 24 by like 10 inches. So you can clamp your lights up, and you can actually use a little bit lower UVB at that point because you can bring the lamp closer to them. I just love their faces. I love how the patterning also goes all the way into their feet. Again, all this is for a type of camouflage to be able to blend in with the tall grasses in the area they're from. So it's not often we see star tortoises here in captivity. They are an IUCN listed vulnerable species. A lot of it's due to climate change, but also illegal poaching. A lot of tortoises like this are taken for the colors of their shell, and then in parts of Asia, also the illegal meat trade. So a lot of turtles and tortoises end up on meat markets. A lot is being done to try to conserve these species. These guys were captive bred, which is awesome. I have this one and its counterpart. And this is the first time we've ever actually had star tortoises in the store. So it's been a really, really fun experience. You know, like other tortoises too, I want to point out that they have a beak. That beak helps them chomp through veggie matter, even roots and funguses, and of course, because they will go after carrion, they'll also do the carrion. So, yeah, this is our Indian Star Tortoise, and we'll see you guys next time.